So in this chapter, we will be studying finite simple groups. We will look at this as an application of the three Silo theorems. In particular, in the next two sessions, we will look at some non-simplicity tests. Okay, so let us look at the definition of finite simple groups. So a group G is said to be simple if its only normal subgroups are the identity subgroup and the group itself. Now, any group of prime order, if a group has prime order, then it will be a simple group. Okay, why? By Lagrange's theorem, it will have only two subgroups, the identity subgroup and the group itself, and hence those are the only two normal subgroups of G. Okay, these type of groups are generally referred to as trivial simple groups. Now we will be interested in what is the possible orders of a simple group. Okay, this is our interest. So let us look at one test which will help us to determine what are the possible orders of simple groups. So if n is a positive integer that is not prime and p is a prime divisor of n, and if 1 is the only divisor of n that is congruent to 1 modulo p, then there is no group of order n that is simple. So suppose G is a group whose order is n, okay, and since p is a divisor of n, we can write n as some p raised to k times m, where p does not divide m. Okay, so we know that the number of p Silo subgroups has to divide m and should be congruent to 1 modulo p. But if it has to divide m, then it should also divide n. And we know that the only possible candidate for this, that is a divisor of n which is congruent to 1 modulo p, is 1 itself, and therefore the number of p Silo subgroups is 1. That means that G has a unique p Silo subgroup, and hence you can see that G is not simple. Okay, because this unique Silo p subgroup will be a normal subgroup of G. So this proves our first non-simplicity test. Okay, so this exercise you would have studied in your basic group theory course, which is called as the Cayley's theorem. Okay, so let's see what it says. It says that if G is a group of order n and SG is a group of permutations on G, so this is the group that contains all bijections from G to G, and the operation in this group is composition. So then the function defined by f from G to SG given by f of G equals phi G. Okay, now we want to know what is this bijection. So this is the bijection phi G of x equals Gx. Okay, so this is a 1-1 homomorphism. Now what will this tell me? If this is a 1-1 homomorphism, this means that G and Fg are isomorphic, and we see that Fg is a subgroup of Sg, and hence you can see that G is always isomorphic to a subgroup of Sg. That is what you state as Cayley's theorem. So You can prove first that phi g is both 1 1 and on 2. It is easy to see that, because if phi g of x equals phi g of y, it means that gx equals gy. Hence, multiplying to the left by g inverse, we get x equals y. Okay, so this tells us that phi g is 1 1. Now, how do we see that phi g is onto? So, to see that phi g is onto, you start with any y in g. What should be the pre-image of y? So, it is clear that the pre-image of y, you could work out the reason if you like. So, we want something that maps onto y. Okay, a clear way of doing that is taking g inverse y, because g times g inverse y will be y itself. So therefore this tells me that phi g is onto. So since phi g is 1 1 and onto, phi g is in SG. So this f is a well-defined function. Now I need to prove that f is a 1 1 homomorphism. So let's show that f is a homomorphism. Okay, so why is f a homomorphism? Suppose I start with any g1 and g2 and g. So I need to prove that f of g1 times g2 is equal to f of g1 composition f of g2 composition, because the operation in SG is composition. Now, so in other words, I need to prove that we need to show that phi g1 g2 is the same as phi of g1 composition phi of g2. How do I show that two functions are the same? I need to show that given any element in the domain, they have the same image in the codomain. So let us start with an element in the domain of phi g. The elements in the domain of phi g are elements of g itself. So suppose some x is in g, let x belong to g. So this will mean that phi g1 g2 of x is equal to g1 times g2 times x. But this is g1 times g2 times x. But this here is phi g1 of g2 times x. But here you can see g2 times x is phi g2 times x of x, okay, which is phi g1 composition phi g2 of x. Okay, so this proves that f is a homomorphism. Okay, you can see here that given any x in g, phi g1 g2 of x is phi of g1 composition phi of g2 of x. So that means that these two functions are the same. So therefore this tells me that f is a homomorphism. Next we need to show that f is 1 1. So suppose f of g1 is equal to f of g2. What does this mean? This means that phi g1 is equal to phi g2. So very simple way of proving that g1 is equal to g2 is look at the image of the identity element on both sides. So phi g1 of the identity element will be phi g2 of the identity element, which would mean that g1 times E equals g2 times E. But that tells us that g1 is equal to g2. Okay, so therefore phi is a 1-1 map. So phi is a 1-1 homomorphism. Hence G will be isomorphic to f of G. This proves our exercise. This is called as Cayley's theorem. So the reason why I took this up again is I need you to remember this particular homomorphism in later proofs. So for the next exercise, let us show that if G is a group of permutations on n symbols, that is G is a subgroup, G is a permutation of is a group of permutations on n symbols, means G is a subgroup of Sn. Okay, then we will prove that either G is entirely contained in An, that is even permutations, or exactly half of G is in An and half of it is out of An. That means if you have a group G this way, so a subgroup of Sn, okay, you have your Sn here. We know that An contains exactly half the number of elements in Sn. Okay, so there is exactly half of it is An, so this is An, and half of it is not An. So if you have G, either it says that exactly half of G is in An, or it says that entirely G is in one side. This is what this exercise tells us. So how do I prove this? So I assume that G is not entirely contained in An. Since G is not entirely contained in An, it means that there exists some permutation, say phi, in G difference An. Okay, that means phi is, which means that phi is in G and phi is an odd permutation. What does this mean? I need to show that exactly half of G has even permutations and exactly half of G has odd permutations. So let us take X to be the set of all, say, sigma in G, such that sigma is an even permutation, and we'll take Y to be the set of all, a sigma tilde in G, such that sigma tilde is an odd permutation. Okay, so we are assuming that this is not the case, and we are taking this to be X and this part to be Y. Okay, so what I will be doing is I will construct a bijection from X to Y. If I have a bijection from X to Y, it means that the number of elements in X is the same as the number of elements in Y, and that will prove a theorem. So we can define a function, say f from X to Y, where f of sigma is equal to sigma composition phi. Now notice here, since sigma is an even permutation and phi is an odd permutation, and both of them are in G, it means that sigma composition phi is in G and is a odd permutation, because a even permutation composing with a odd permutation gives us a odd permutation. So therefore this element here lies inside Y. Now how do I prove that this is a bijection? So to see that f is 1 1, we look at f of sigma 1 equals f of sigma 2. So suppose f of sigma 1 is equal to f of sigma 2. What does this mean? This means that sigma 1 composition with phi is equal to sigma 2 composition with phi. But these are elements of a group, so I can multiply by phi inverse on both sides to give me sigma 1 is equal to sigma 2. This tells me that f is a 1 1 function. Now to see that f is onto. So suppose we have some sigma tilde in Y. What will map onto sigma tilde? So f of what will give me sigma tilde. So we want sigma such that f of sigma is equal to sigma tilde. That is, we want sigma such that sigma composition phi is sigma tilde. That is, we want sigma to be sigma tilde composition with phi inverse. Okay, so you can see here, this is the natural choice for sigma tilde. That is sigma tilde composition with phi inverse. This will be sigma tilde itself, because you will get sigma tilde composition phi inverse composition phi, which will be sigma tilde itself. The only thing you need to check here is that sigma tilde composition with phi inverse is in X. So is that true? That is absolutely true, because phi is an odd permutation, which means that phi inverse is also an odd permutation, and sigma tilde is an odd permutation, and the composition of two odd permutations is an even permutation. So this lies in X and its image is sigma tilde. This proves that phi is a bijection, and hence the number of elements in X is equal to the number of elements in Y. So we have proved this exercise. Let us show that any integer of the form 2n, where n is an odd integer greater than 1, cannot be an order of a simple group. That means if you have numbers, say like 2 times 3, 2 times 5, 2 times 11, and so on, none of these can be orders of simple groups. It means all these groups will contain a proper normal subgroup. Okay, so we need to essentially show that any group of the order 2n has a proper normal subgroup. So we'll start with a group. Let G be a group of order 2n. Okay, we'll take Sg to be the group of permutations of the elements in G. Then we can define a 1-1 homomorphism from G to Sg given by f of G equals phi G, just how we did in the exercise. And this will give me a 1-1 homomorphism, which will mean that G is isomorphic to Fg. Now we know that the order of G is a multiple of 2 and 2 is a prime, which means that G has an element of order 2. Let us take the element of order 2 to be H. Okay, so the image under F of H will be phi H. Since G and Fg are isomorphic under this function, we see that phi h is an element of order 2 in Fg. Now phi h is a permutation, which means that we can take phi h and break it into a product of disjoint cycles. So let us write phi h as some C1 times C2 up to Cm. Now we here we include even the singleton or the cycles of length 1. Okay, when we write this, we even include the cycles of length 1. So an example of this would be 1 2 3 4 5 7, and you will need even 6 8. So this permutation in S8, this is an example of this. Okay, so as phi h is an element of order 2 and the order of permutation is the LCM of the cycles, this means that the length of each of them, each of the CIs divides 2, and therefore the length of CIs can either be 1 or 2. Now what would happen if the length of CI is 1? So suppose some CI is of length 1. So suppose it is T. What would this mean? This would mean that, remember these are disjoint cycles, this would mean that phi h of T would be T itself. That's the meaning of this. The image of T would be T itself. But this would tell us that because this is the way phi is defined, it is H T is equal to T. Or in other words, H would be the identity element. And this is a contradiction, as H is an element of order 2. Okay, we have taken H to be an element of order 2, and the identity element is an element of order 1. So this is a contradiction, which means that the length of all of these cycles have to be of order 2. Now since the length of all of those cycles have to be of order 2, we see that these cycles, okay, the cycles will partition 2n. Okay, the cycles are going to partition 2n, and each of them should have 2 elements in it, which would mean that m is equal to n. Okay, so we have broken down, so phi h is a product of n cycles because m is equal to n. Each of the cycles is of length 2. This means that phi h is an odd permutation. As n is odd, this means that phi h is a odd permutation. And since phi h is an odd permutation, this will tell us that exactly half the number of elements in Fg are even and half the number of elements are odd. So we can take H to be Ag intersection with f of g. Okay, so this will tell me that the number of elements in H, that is this the all the even cycles in H. Okay, since it has one odd permutation, it will mean that exactly half of the elements in Fg are even and half are odd. So therefore the number of elements in H will have to be the number of elements in Fg upon 2. But we know that the number of elements in f of g is 2n. So this will be just n. So the number of elements in H is n. So therefore this tells me that the index of H in Fg, which we write as this is 2. That is the number of elements in Fg upon n is 2. And since the index of H in Fg is 2, this means that H is normal in Fg. So it is a proper normal subgroup of Fg. And since H is a proper normal subgroup of Fg, this means that F inverse of H is, since F is a isomorphism from G to Fg, this means that F inverse of H is a proper normal subgroup of G. Okay, so this proves that G is not a simple group. So we have shown that there's an element in Fg, phi h, which is odd. Since there's an element in Fg which is odd, exactly half the number of elements in Fg are even and half are odd. Now the intersection of two subgroups is always a subgroup. So this is a subgroup of Sg and hence a subgroup of Fg. So this will tell me that H is a subgroup of Fg with n number of elements, and that tells me that the index of H is 2, which means that H is normal in Fg, and hence G has a proper normal subgroup, which means that G is not a simple group. We will end with this theorem and we will continue with this section in the next session. Thank you.